we talked about starting every meeting with a review of our major initiatives on climate change. And I actually just wanted to start by saying that the governor and I and Carol had a pretty interesting session with a fellow John Sternman from MIT, who has a global model that you can look at and adjust for various policy changes. And it demonstrates very clearly, very quickly, that if we're going to meet the levels that we committed to in the Paris Agreement, that we're going to have to do a whole number of things at once. And I actually think that's reflected by our slide. But they call it silver buckshot because there's no silver bullet. But obviously things like energy efficiency make perfect sense. But no one thing, a price on carbon, no one thing alone is going to work. And that reflects actually our greenhouse gas reduction report that we did by this council. This slide and the work that we're doing, which is going forward in many different sectors and has to go forward aggressively in all sectors if we're going to prevent catastrophic climate impacts. So this slide is something we're going to review at every meeting. We just mentioned the carbon pricing study, so we want to get that going and have results from that before next year and next session. On the resiliency side, we're going to spend a lot of time on that today. And Sean, I think you're up next. So I'll let Sean get into the details on that.
Do you want me to comment briefly on mitigation?
Yeah, Carol, why don't you comment briefly on mitigation, and maybe I'll say a little bit more as an intro to Sean.
Yep. On the mitigation side, I shared with the council members what is on our website and available and updated quarterly. This is the Q1 update on our progress toward the 1,000 megawatt of clean energy goal. It shows us now, as of Q1, at 371 megawatts. The underlying change that occurred in the mix is that for the first time, solar has become the predominant mix in this version. However, as you also know, in Q2, the PUC did approve the contract with Revolution Wind, which will add in our Q2 report when it comes out, it will add at least another 400 megawatts. So we know that by the end of Q2, we will be at least 771, and that's assumed no additions on any other form of energy. So we're making great progress, and should certainly by the end of this year, we will be at 800 megawatts toward the 1,000 megawatt goal. So I just wanted everybody to know that dashboard is up on both websites and linked. So
Excellent.
that's where we are.
Yeah, I want to make a couple of comments too before handing it over to Sean. One is, it's not all the things that we're doing on a national level, working with our delegation. I see the representatives from Rhode and White House's Senate offices here, working with the AG on countering some of the negative policies of the Trump administration is not reflected here. And I just want to mention that the governor was one of the founding members of the U.S. Climate Alliance, and a number of things that we're working on. We're working through that group of 23 state governors that represent well over half the nation's population, trying to make sure that we meet and exceed the Paris goals. Part of that network of governors is working on all the things that we've outlined on resilience. And when Sean does talk about the work we're doing on a little more depth on like urban forestry, that came directly out of work that we did as part of the U.S. Climate Alliance. You saw that the rollback of the Obama administration Clean Power Plan was completed this week. That doesn't affect us directly because we don't have coal-fired power plants, but it certainly affects us directly in that we're now, part of a state that's working hard in RGGI and in other ways to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from our electricity sector, and now we see that other states with coal-fired power plants are not having to do as much. So that's the kind of thing where the alliance gets together and works, whether it's litigation or other strategies, to kind of counter-effect some of the ways that we're backsliding at a national level.